What's the hardest thing about writing? Well, it's getting started. Maybe you're having a hard time coming up with a story idea, or you're stuck on where to take your story next. If you want a way into a story or a way through, I have 9 story starters to help you. This free PDF is full of story seeds and prompts to get you going. To download your 9 story starters, go to nancypanuccio.com/start. That's Nancy with an I, Panuccio with 2 C's, nancypanuccio.com/start. A scene isn't just something happening. It isn't just an event to walk the characters through the plot. It's not just characters talking or doing stuff. So you always have to ask, why does this scene exist? Writer Unleashed is for you, a writer who has a story you want to bring onto the page and into the hearts and minds of readers. I'm Nancy Panuccio, writer, editor, and book coach. Each week, we'll explore techniques, mindsets, and inspiration for writing stories readers can't put down. Thanks for spending some time with me today. Now, let's begin. If your novel feels slow, disjointed, or emotionally flat, there's a good chance the problem isn't your plot, it's your scenes. And when I first started writing stories and attending workshops in New York City, one of my teachers said that my writing was vivid and pulled him through, but as marvelous as it was probably too told. I had no idea how to fix that. And so skip to years later, I'm in my very first graduate workshop. And one of my teachers said this story was all backstory and summary. The writing itself was good, but I was telling the story, not dramatizing it in any compelling way. It didn't matter that I had vivid descriptions and the quality of writing was good. It was still too told. Said another way, it wasn't scenic. I thought I was writing scenes, but I wasn't. I didn't know how to write a scene, and worse, I didn't know that I didn't know. I hadn't yet learned how to identify from all the novels and short stories I was reading what elements kept me hooked. My stories were flabby because I didn't know how to write them in scenes. Like most first-time writers, I didn't know what a scene was, let alone that I wasn't writing them. I didn't know how a scene moves the story forward, how to frame it, and what ingredients make up a scene. And I know many writers I work with struggle with writing scenes to varying degrees. So in this episode, we're breaking it all down. You'll learn what a scene is, the 3 essential elements every scene needs, and I'll walk you through a checklist to pressure test your scenes as you write and revise. First, what is a scene? A scene isn't just something happening. It's a unit of story that unfolds in real time. And the characters are moving through space and time as it unfolds in real time. But it has a particular structure, and there are different types of scenes. Some scenes go at a fast clip, others are slower. But here are some key traits of a scene. It takes place in a specific time and location. For example, if your characters start out the scene in the kitchen making lunch, let's say, that's a unit of story. It's one scene. If in the same chapter they then move to the patio, that's a new scene. A scene has a character with a goal or desire. In any encounter, we are after some outcome. It could be as simple as wanting to leave the house at a certain time or get a workout in before dinner. There's always some desire or motive that's urging us through any particular moment or situation. That desire is thwarted, frustrated, or impeded in some way by someone or something. Something changes by the end of the scene, emotionally, relationally, or narratively. So a scene has a particular purpose in your story. You want to think of a scene as a mini story with a beginning, middle, and end. It's a microcosm of your narrative as a whole. It has to serve a purpose in your story. A scene isn't just something happening. It isn't just an event to walk the characters through the plot. It's not just characters talking or doing stuff. So you always have to ask, why does this scene exist? What's it doing in my story? Does it reveal something new? Does it advance the plot? Does it test your character? If it doesn't move the story forward or deepen our understanding, it's probably dead weight. The reader is always subconsciously looking for patterns in your story. So a scene isn't just action. It has structure. It has purpose. It has movement. A scene can be fast-paced or slow and introspective. It can take place in a conversation, an action sequence, or a quiet moment of decision, but it must do more than exist. So let's walk through 3 elements that every scene needs. Number 1, desire and resistance. Every scene begins with a character who wants something, even if it's something small or unspoken. Desire creates direction. It gives the scene a why now energy. Without a desire or goal or expectation, your character becomes reactive or passive, and the scene loses urgency. For example, in Little Fires Everywhere, there's a quiet yet powerful scene where Elena questions Mia about her past. Elena wants control. She wants to feel morally superior. Mia, in contrast, wants to protect her privacy. So that push-pull dynamic creates the electricity of the scene. So before you draft a scene, you always want to ask, what does my character want right now? Even if they're pretending they don't. What do the other characters in the scene want? Every scene needs that kind of tension. It's the tension that comes from someone wanting something and not quite getting it. The desire can be big or small. It could be to get information. It could be to avoid shame. It could be to escape or to impress someone. If there's no desire, there's no tension. So you want to think of a scene between more than one character as a shift in the balance of power. These are always exciting because the balance of power shifts in a scene between the characters, even if it's playful. One character wants something from the other character in the scene, and that character either can't, isn't willing, or refuses to give it. If you think of any encounter in any situation, there is always desire and resistance. One character wants something that's in conflict with what the other character wants. It could be subtle. But what happens if your character is alone in the scene? Same thing. Your character will have inner resistance. So what does your character want coming into the scene? What is his or her intention, and what gets in his or her way? Even inner resistance counts. Sometimes the obstacle in the scene isn't external, it's inside the character. Your character might want to do something, but part of them resists. That resistance could come from fear or guilt, shame, grief, self-doubt, or a belief or value that's in conflict with their current desire. For example, in The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath, Esther spends much of the novel wanting to re-engage with the world. She tells herself she should go out, see people, make choices, but she can't. There's a fog between intention and action. A scene where she sits on her bed contemplating what to do next is loaded with inner resistance. The tension is real even though no one else is present. Another example is A Man Called Ove by Frederick Backman. Ove attempts to die by suicide, but keeps getting interrupted. What's fascinating is that while the external interruptions drive the scene, the deeper tension is internal. Part of him doesn't really want to die. He's resistant to living, but also not fully committed to leaving. So that inner conflict carries enormous emotional weight. So, what does your character want when he or she comes into the scene, and what gets in his or her way? Is it another person? Is it a rule, a memory, an emotional trigger? Or is it inner resistance? What your character wants and what's being withheld or interrupted creates tension. Now, tension doesn't always mean arguing. It just means opposition. So scene element number 1, desire and resistance. Okay, let's move on to element number 2, a change or shift. If nothing changes by the end of your scene, you don't have a scene. You have a static moment. Every scene needs movement, not just physical action, but emotional or narrative change. By the end of the scene, something should be different from how it began. That change could be a choice or decision made. It could be a secret revealed, a new realization, a false victory, a plan derailed, a new piece of information that surfaces, a relationship deepened or damaged. It could be a mood or emotional state that shifts. Even a small shift, like a character going from hope to doubt or from control to uncertainty, gives the scene shape and keeps the story pulsing forward. For example, in Normal People by Sally Rooney, scenes are often emotionally quiet, but they hinge on subtle shifts. One scene might start with Connell feeling distant from Marianne, and by the end, a glance or unfinished sentence draws them closer. Nothing huge happens, but the emotional tone has changed. So ask yourself, what is different by the end of the scene? What does the reader now know that they didn't know before? What has the character discovered, decided, or risked? If you can't point to any change, internal or external, consider whether the scene is earning its place in your story. Now, change does not have to be dramatic, but it has to be real. It's what creates momentum. It's what creates stakes and meaning over the course of your story. Even in quieter, character-driven novels or memoir, the most satisfying stories are built scene by scene on these accumulating shifts. Without change, your story stays flat, no matter how beautiful the prose is. So if nothing changes, the scene hasn't earned its spot in your story. So number 2, a change or shift. Okay, on to number 3, a grounded setting. You have to give us a where and a when. We need to know where and when the scene is taking place. Is it later the same day? Is it the next day? Is it a week later? So you just need enough sensory detail to anchor us in the moment, but don't overload with description. In scene, your characters are moving through space and time. So ground us in the physical world of the scene, one the reader can see, hear, smell, and feel. A common mistake in early drafts is skipping over the setting or giving just one line of description and then letting the scene float in space. But readers need more than a vague idea of where things are happening. They need to feel oriented in the scene. That means grounding your scene with where it's happening, a specific location, when it's happening, the time of day, year, season, or era. What the character is sensing: touch, smell, sound, temperature, texture. This isn't something you establish once and forget. You want to ground your reader early, as soon as possible in the scene, and keep them grounded throughout. We orient ourselves to the world through our bodies, and readers are no different. So when a scene begins, we instinctively want to know, where are we? What's around us? What does it feel like to be here? For example, in The Secret History by Donna Tartt, we don't just know the students are at a small liberal arts college, we feel the cracked leather of library chairs, the scent of books, the chill of the New England air. She doesn't overwhelm you with setting, but it pulses beneath every scene. So you want to use small sensory cues to re-anchor your reader throughout the scene. That may mean the hum of fluorescent lights or the stick of sweat on the back of the neck. It could be the texture of snow underfoot. For example, in Lori Moore's novel, A Gate at the Stairs, as her protagonist walks through the snow to her nanny job, she describes the snow crunching underfoot like styrofoam. The snow was like styrofoam squeaking beneath my boots. These aren't filler, they're the glue. They keep the reader in the story world. And when your character's emotions and environment are in conversation, your scenes feel fully alive. Okay, here's a quick scene building formula, a simple checklist to try before writing or revising a scene. Number 1, who wants what in the scene? Number 2, what's standing in their way? Number 3, what decision, discovery, or shift happens? Number 4, where and when does it take place? And number 5, how does it connect to the larger story arc? So ask those questions to test your scenes as you go. Okay, let's recap. By now, you know that great scenes don't just happen, they're built with intention and purpose. We broke down the 3 essential elements every scene needs to keep your story moving. Number 1, desire and resistance. Your character wants something. Something or someone stands in the way, and that tension is the heart of your scene. Number 2, a shift or change. By the end of the scene, something must be different. A decision, a discovery, a crack in the relationship. Change is what earns your scene its place. And number 3, a grounded setting. Scenes happen in a where and a when, a specific time, place, and sensory detail that keeps your reader anchored in the world of the scene. You want to establish this as early as possible and keep anchoring your reader throughout the scene. Scenes are where your story lives. It's where readers connect, feel, and invest in the story. Now, you don't need to master this on the first draft, but the more you learn to build purposeful, tension-filled scenes, the easier the first draft will be and much easier the revision process will be. And the more compelling it will be to read. You want to slow down where it matters. Scenes are built around significant moments. So you want to find the moments in your story that matter and build each scene around those moments. Strong scenes don't just move the plot forward, they shape how the reader feels, understands, and connects with the story. Meaning isn't delivered all at once, it's built. It's accrued through every scene that raises a question, sparks tension, reveals a character's vulnerability, or forces a shift. Scene by scene, you build emotional momentum. You raise the stakes. You deepen the reader's investment, not just in what happens, but in why it matters. So ask yourself, what is this scene doing for the story? How does it shape the experience for the reader? Because that's how meaning is made, not through explanation, but through lived dramatic moments. So there you have it. Thanks for hanging out with me today. If you know any writers who need some support in their writing, please share this episode or the Writer Unleashed podcast in general. And if you love what you're listening to, subscribe on your favorite listening platform. And if you're listening on Apple, please leave me a review. Reading how this podcast impacts your writing truly lights me up and helps me create topics for the show. Till next time, keep writing, and I'll talk to you soon.